folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City, and I want to invite everybody to come down here and see us. We're located at 1015 Gulf Avenue South here in downtown Fort Payne, and I want everybody to come down and check out our inventory. Bobby always keeps the inventory refreshed. We've got new stuff coming in every single day, a lot of stuff going out every day. Listen, we appreciate everybody in the area coming down here, letting us earn your business. I'm telling you what, this year's been great for us, and every year we get nominated and then we get voted in as the best in DeKalb. So I want to tell everybody we appreciate y'all doing that for us. Let us know we're doing everything right. So y'all come down here and see us, 1015 Gulf Avenue South. You can shop us on the web at Twin City Used Cars, or you can just give us a call at 256-844-2210.
Welcome into week one of the Pigskin Preview. I'm Monk Blevins.
I'm Sammy Smith.
And we're here with you back from last week. Man, Sammy, some great games last week.
Yeah, we got to see what a lot of teams are about last week.
Absolutely.
With some of the teams they were playing.
So, we're going to spend a little time talking about last week's games, and then we'll talk about this coming up week's games. And then at the end, we get to do what we did all last year. We're going to pick the games and see who comes out at the end. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you were the champ last year.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but since you brought it up,
So let's go ahead and we'll talk about the first game. Let's talk about the Collinsville Panthers as they traveled over to Section on Friday night. And, of course, we know Collinsville comes in with a new coach, Daniel Garrett, taking over that program. And
a lot of new starters on the Collinsville team.
Absolutely. Collinsville, like you said, lost a lot of starters. A lot of new ones coming in. Section's better this year. Coach Hammond team played well. And you want to give them the score of that ball game?
Yeah, Collinsville won the game 7-0. If I'm not mistaken, they didn't score till late. It was nothing halftime, I believe.
Absolutely.
And then
late in the third quarter, I believe, before they scored a touchdown.
Yeah. So it was a really good game.
Absolutely. Collinsville, again, like we said, lost a lot of starters from last year, and new coach coming in, new system, and we were able to spend a little time over there, and Section looked really good too. Both teams, played well. Defensively, they were very good. Both teams, I thought, played well on defense what time we were there. Like I said, Collinsville scored late in the third quarter. And, looking at Collinsville, Dalton Hughes, quarterback for Collinsville, man, he had a great football game. He was 10 of 12 for 137 yards passing on the night. And I think, and I didn't write that down, but he had, I think, about 100 yards rushing on the night too. So a
they
good
just
game.
plug in another athlete there.
Oh, absolutely. And, this Collinsville team, a big win for them. And Section's got to feel good about where they were at, being able to play Collinsville as well as they did. So I think Section, both these teams, it looks like they're going to be pretty good football teams.
It looks like it.
Next, we had Crossville and New Hope on Saturday night. I felt like Crossville would be the better team in this. Crossville had 3 rushing touchdowns in this football game, but just wasn't able to pull it off as New Hope defeated them 28-20.
Right. New Hope has stepped up in classification too. I think they're maybe 4A, but Crossville's still in a big 5A, region. But Crossville is much improved. I think I was like you. I kind of thought Crossville might win it last week. I'm glad we didn't have to pick last week.
Oh, absolutely. Because I definitely would have picked them. Crossville, I think, they're probably going to be a better football team. I know they had a few turnovers in that game that hurt them, a couple of things. But Kobe Leslie for Crossville, he had 85 yards rushing on the night. And so, Crossville, you'll see that team improve. And they've got a big game coming up.
They passed the eyeball test. You look at some of Crossville's players, and they look like football players.
Oh, absolutely.
You know how you say.
Absolutely. Next we had Fort Payne and Briarwood. And, man, what a football game that was.
Yeah, Fort Payne having to schedule late, get Briarwood Christian to come in. Played a really good Briarwood Christian team who made it, I think, to the semifinals last year.
That's right.
And played them really tough and just come away a little bit short. And like you say, the McPherson kid, first game of the year, 56-yard field goal. I believe you told me Friday night that Roger said that it could have been a 64-yard field goal.
Oh, absolutely. They said and it was dead down the center of the goalpost, and so they lose that game 28 to 20, and tough loss for Fort Payne. But Hunter Love had a big night. He rushed for 150 yards. I think he carried the ball 33 times. Yeah. So this Fort Payne team, that is not an embarrassment getting beat by a good Briarwood Christian football team. So Fort Payne, I think they're going to be the real deal again, and so we'll see how that shakes out.
Right.
But Coach Elmore has done a great job down there, and he'll have them ready for this week. Next we've got Fife. And Isabella came traveling up to Fife, and what surprised me? We were over in section, and I come back in, and I'd called somebody just to see how the game was going. There was 2 minutes left in the first quarter, and it was 0-0.
Right. A little story on that first quarter. Isabella got the ball first, and they run the ball, run the clock. Got about 3 or 4 first downs, and then Fife stopped them. Okay, that was nearly at the end of the first quarter when Fife stopped them and got the ball and immediately went down and scored.
Wow.
So it wasn't like what it sounded like Fife got a slow start. Right. They really didn't. Isabella just moved the ball a little bit there, and Fife's defense didn't step up till, close to the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. Well, and then when Fife scored, they just continued to score the rest of the night.
Yeah.
That game wound up being 48-0 Fife, and again, great defense. Fife, I guess the player that makes that defense go is the coach's son.
Probably Eli.
And Eli, he is a very good linebacker,
yes.
and he's just a good athlete. But a great game for the Fife Red Devils, and, they have an open this week, and so they're going to practice a lot, and we'll see how that shakes out. I was trying to look and see what kind of stats. I know Brody Dalton had a good game. Ike Rowell, he scored the first points on a 7-yard run, and so, those guys that we hear week in, week out, just
you
doing
about,
what they
we talked about Ike Rowell could play quarterback. Well, he does.
Yeah.
He does play quarterback this year. And then you still got the running backs. I didn't hear Mize's name, but Mize is a running back.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Dukes is a running back. And there's another one that scored a touchdown as a running back. They just got plenty of running backs, plus Ike Rowell.
Yeah.
I think he done the old Fife drop back and run the quarterback draw for the first touchdown.
Yeah.
So, look for big things from Fife again this year.
Oh, absolutely. They're loaded with talent, and, they're just going to continue to roll as the season goes on. Geraldine, we'll talk about them next. They traveled down to Piedmont. Piedmont, the number one, they are the number one team in the state again this year, ranked right now preseason, but also they're the defending state champion. And I read an interesting story on Piedmont. I'll have to tell this, but at the end of the 2018 season, they had played for the state championship, got beat by, I don't remember who it was.
I remember the game. I can't remember the
they were actually loaded with seniors that year, so a couple of the players, juniors coming back, asked the coach, said, if we win the state championship next year, will you grow a mullet? And he thought, I ain't got nothing to lose on this. We're going to be young. So he did. He said, sure, I'll do that. Well, guess what happened?
Yeah, they win the state championship.
They win the state championship. So the coach is now coaching with a mullet, and the kids are having a great time with it. So,
they are.
Geraldine traveled down to Piedmont, and, Piedmont just does what they do. They defeated Geraldine 34-14. I know Geraldine is in a rebuilding season. They had a lot of seniors last year, and so –
losing to Piedmont in like a game that didn't count, preseason game, 34-14 is not a bad thing. Geraldine's still going to be a really good football team and do really well in our region, I think.
Yeah.
And and be competitive at the end of the year. They'll be.
Oh, absolutely. Coach Waldrop does a great job down there, and I know a lot of young kids got to play because I know my grandson, he actually got in that game and got to play, and so I'm on. I won't call his name out. I don't want to embarrass him, but he knows who I am. He knows who he is, and he knows who I am. So, look for this Geraldine team. Like you said.
Oh yeah, at the end of the year, they're going to be. Yeah, they're just going to get better as the year goes on.
Oh, absolutely. Next, we had the Eider Hornets. They traveled over to Woodville, and big game.
Yeah,
big game for
I think at halftime, Woodville's up 8-0.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And then Ider dominated the second half.
They held Woodville scoreless in the second half, and they won that game 23-8. And I was trying to look at my notes here. Matt Norman, who is the quarterback, and then, you know, of course they're shut out in the first half. He scores 3 touchdowns and rushed for 230 yards in the second half.
As your quarterback, that's wild.
As the quarterback. So, you know, congratulations to Ider, a big win for them, and I know Coach Miles Keith is excited about what's going on there. And they've got a big game coming up this week, and that's going to be interesting. Next, we had the Plainview Bears, and they traveled over to Cedar Bluff for a jamboree game. And, again, I think we talked about it Friday night. I was very impressed with this Plainview team.
Yeah.
You know, they actually won both of their games. They played I think the junior varsity played the last game, or last 2 quarters, but the first 2 quarters, Plainview played
Cedar Bluff
first,
yeah,
and they won that game 20-0. And you know, big win. And then they played Spring Garden and won that one 14-7. And both of those teams are really good. Spring Garden made it to the quarterfinals last year. Cedar Bluff is always good. And
Cedar Bluff's the only team that beat Spring Garden in the regular season last year.
And Cedar Bluff,
so that's some good teams,
was huge.
Yeah.
And so, but Marco Vegas had a great game. He rushed for 126 yards. And a newcomer to the Plainview team is Andrew Hall. He's a speedster. He had 132 yards on the night. So,
and there was a lot of kids scored that's not, their name's not on the yardage.
Oh, absolutely. There was a lot of scoring defensively. You know, you could the whole defense just played outstanding. And, you know, another one again was the new guy, not new, but he came back out and playing. And my brain's, you'll have to
Jathan Underwood.
Yes. Underwood had a great game and had one long touchdown call back on a questionable call, in my opinion.
Yeah. I watched some video on it, you know, and Ethan Hope had a great game defensively.
Oh, absolutely.
He was playing linebacker, and he was all over the field.
He was all over the field. In the last play of the game against
Cedar Bluff, yeah.
He tattooed.
Yes, he brought breakfast with him on that.
Oh, absolutely. So, again, that was big for the Bears, and we'll see how it opens up this week as they face Ider. So, next we had Sylvania, and man, they had to travel down and play a 5A class Sax, who is got
really
a
good Sax team. Yeah.
And you know, Sylvania, some turnovers. I was talking to one of the parents of one of the players, or one of the grandparents of one of the players, and they had some turnovers and things that happened. You know, they lost that game 24-14, but Sylvania came away feeling okay about what they had done.
Yeah, because that was a really tough start to the season right there in the game.
They told me that they did have, you know, they played well defensively, except they had a running back who could fly, they said. And he would hit the corner, and he was gone.
They couldn't catch him.
So, but, you know, this Sylvania team, they're loaded with talent, and you're going to see them win a lot of football games this year, that's for sure. Next, we got Valley Head traveled to Raglan. And, again, Valley Head, I'm just very impressed with the size of that team. And, you know, they had, of course, Raglan was one of the teams that beat them last year and kind of got them beat up
a little bit,
as the end of the season went. Well, they open up with them this year, and they get the last laugh, if you want to say it, as they defeated Raglan 27-14.
Yeah, I mean, they were up 27-0, and I talked to some of the Valley Head people, and they said they had. I said, so y'all pretty much dominated, and they said, well, we should have been up like 40-something. So we had about 3 turnovers and then some mistakes, but so Valley Head's going to be a really good football team.
A really good team. Jordan Burt, who was again the Mountain Valley News Player of the Year last year, he ran for 123 yards on 20 carries. He had 110 yards passing. But he wasn't the only one. They had a running back by the name of Bryson Morgan. He rushed for 120 yards on the night. Going back to Jordan Burt, he was the leading tackler on defense. He had 14 tackles on the night.
Wow.
And so he's one of those kind of do-it-all. But they've got some other players on the offensive line.
They've got some really good players.
And so if this team stays healthy, you're going to see them. They could go a long way this year.
They could go deep in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Next, we had North Sand Mountain. You know, North Sand Mountain actually was over at Cedar Bluff, and they opened up with they played Sandrock first, and with Sandrock, I believe this is right. Yes, they played Sandrock and won that game 21-13, and then they lost to a Good Spring Garden team 6-0. But now I will tell you, on the Spring Garden game, he had put some different players in doing some different things, but I was very impressed with Lake Bell at quarterback. Played really well for him.
You know, he was instrumental last year as a running back.
Oh yes,
running back, receiver type person.
And so you know, Coach said simply, just a little message, said they were proud to get to play football again, and you know, he said there was some mistakes they needed to work on, but overall he felt like his kids played well, and so we'll see how that shakes out. And I think it's time for us to go to a commercial, so we're going to go to a commercial. Got a few more games to talk about, and then we're going to talk about this week's game. Right. So we'll be right back with you in a moment.
First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, we excel within the walls of our bank and outside these walls too. We're actively working with area schools to improve classrooms and supporting area student athletes on fields and courts. We work and worship at most churches in the Rainsville community. We also work to enhance the lives of area seniors, thanking them for a lifetime of contributions. We're the bankers and corporate citizens at First Southern State Bank. True community banking.
Hi, this is Adam Hill, Operations Manager at Johnson Heating and Cooling. Are you having problems with your current heating and cooling system or just want it serviced? Give us a call today and let one of our NATE certified home comfort specialists come see what we can do for you. We offer 24/7 emergency service to our customers. We service most makes and models and offer a free second opinion on unit replacement.
Call Johnson Heating and Cooling today, Alabama's largest and most awarded TVA dealer.
The City of Stevenson.
Welcome back into the Pigskin Preview, week number 1. And we'll finish talking about with the next game we want to talk about is Cornerstone Christian Academy here in Rainsville. And, you know, they had a preseason game with East Central, and they actually won that game 35-0, but it was canceled.
Yeah, and like before halftime.
Before halftime.
Sometime in the second quarter.
You know, this Cornerstone, you know, is going to be a pretty good football team.
Right. These same kids that are playing now has been playing the whole time they've started.
Absolutely.
So they're getting into it. They're seniors. They're bigger. There's a couple of kids come over there the other day, and I was over there, and they were working on doing some stuff at the field. It's some pretty good-sized kids.
Yeah, yeah. They look good. I did see them, you know, when we went to take pictures, and you know, you can tell they've been on the weights.
Oh yeah, you can tell
and some different things. So they're gonna have a great season. You know, they really don't open up till September the 4th, I believe. Yeah. So, but you know, that was a very good showing for their first game in 8-man football. So congratulations to them on that, and I know they're looking forward to the season. And then the last game we're going to talk about, North Jackson traveled down to Pleasant Grove, and of course I know Pleasant Grove, you know, played in the finals of class.
Yes.
Is that 6A?
I looked that up, but I forgot who it was.
Now. But you know, we did not hear a score Friday night, but you know, they lost that game 34-6. So I'd sent a couple of messages to the coach, and he said it wasn't good. I mean, he was talking about. He said they actually did not have a first down in that game. North Jackson did not. The quarterback got knocked out cold. But the first thing he told me was, he said when they got there and Pleasant Grove come on the field, they had 90 players.
Wow.
And they had 20 that went over, 20 that was from 280 and up.
That's a lot of big players right there. I'm telling
you,
that's a lot of big
he said we were intimidated by the time they got on the field, you know. And so, but he said, of course, again, their quarterback got knocked out, but he said, offensively, their defense just whipped us all over the field. Defensively, he said, we played surprisingly well.
Yeah.
And so, but, you know, and then he told me, he said, you know, we're probably not going to face a team like that in the regular season. Now, he said, we may face somebody in the playoffs, but he said, now our kids, you know, they understand.
Right.
And it was a good test for them. Good measuring test, and they know what they need to be working on. So, he wasn't happy with the game, but he wasn't just down and out over the football
Right.
game either. So, and you know, that was a great test for him. Of course, Pleasant Grove undoubtedly is loaded with talent.
Well, you know, you use something like this, and like he's talking about his defense. Now he can go forward and say, look, guys, our defense played good against a great football team.
Right.
Big, huge. You know, you're not going to see anybody like that.
Right.
So your defense plays good against them. Y'all got something to look forward to.
And I don't know, that was a preseason game, by the way. I don't know if I
Right.
said that or not. So that doesn't affect their record, but and he did say the quarterback was going to be okay, and he thought he'd be fine to play this week. But he said they really rocked him one time. So, but so that's kind of the game rundown of last week's games, and you know, some really good games. I mean, for week one, very close football
Yeah,
games.
there
And,
was
you
some
know,
very
not,
close
not
games.
really, you know, what you could just say a blowout necessarily. I mean, some of them are, you know, high scoring games, but for the first game, I think for the season, it seems like they all played pretty
Some
well.
good games, yeah.
Yeah. So now we need to talk about this week's games, and you know, the first one I think is just a huge football game, big rivalry. You know,
Right.
Crossville will be traveling down to Collinsville. Of course, they're neighbors, just up the mountain. You know, Crossville up the mountain from Collinsville, and this should be a good football game.
This is a huge rivalry game. Crossville, like we said, is much improved. Collinsville took a small step back, got a new coach, got all these new players, but that's still their neighbor.
Oh yeah.
You know, and Crossville's looking at last year's team that Collinsville beat them. You know, beat up on them a little bit, and they're looking for an opportunity to go back down. And you don't like to say revenge, but that's basically what it is. You know.
Well, and like I said, you know, both teams have got a game behind them now. This week, you know, they know what they need to be working on, where they need to improve at, and you know, of course, Kobe Leslie for Crossville, and then you got to look at for Collinsville. You know, Dalton Hughes both had good games, and you know, they're going to probably be counting on them a lot again this
Yeah,
week, and
exactly.
so that's going to be a great matchup down in Collinsville, and so. You know, I can't wait to see that game. Next, we got Fort Payne. Fort Payne will be traveling down to Gadsden City.
You know, and their road ain't getting any easier with these two games. Starting out with like a Briarwood, which that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
But you competed with them. They competed with them. I look for them to compete with Gadsden City, but now Gadsden City is a much improved 7A team this year.
Oh, absolutely. They put a whipping on Etowah on
Yes.
Friday night,
Yes.
and probably I did not expect that.
Well, I didn't either.
And
So they're improved. You know, they got a new coach from a couple of years ago, and
yeah,
got some players. I think the quarterback from Etowah transferred to Gadsden City this
that's
year.
right. Yeah.
So you know, they're stepping up a little bit, and this will be interesting.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at Fort Payne. I mean, again, Hunter Love had a great football game. I mean, and McPherson, Alex McPherson. You know, if you cross the 50-yard line, you got a chance of scoring.
That's right.
I mean,
You know.
in a close football game, he's going to win a ball.
He
game
is a
for you.
weapon.
He is a weapon.
You know, Fort Payne's just, for the last several years, they've just been reloading with some super athletes every year.
Absolutely.
Of course, Hunter Love played a lot last year when the other kid went down, and then they had Shaddix and Penholster that's gone now. Blaylock stepped in last year. They've really got some really good athletes. that just keep
Blaylock
stepping in.
really good defensively. They played well. A couple of mistakes that I saw when they were playing, but they actually held Briarwood Christian right before halftime inside probably the 5-yard line, and stopped them from scoring. And you know, Hunter Love scored late in that game, and they had a chance to win that football game. But they just come up a little short. But you know, they got a chance this week, Gadsden City, and of course that's a big task. You know, that's a big football game down at Gadsden City. But you know, I think Fort Payne makes a lot of improvement this week and works on some things, and that should be an outstanding football game.
Yes.
Next, we got Geraldine. Of course, Geraldine coming off a tough Piedmont loss, and again, preseason game. But Westminster Christian will be traveling down to Geraldine this week. Don't know a lot about Westminster.
Well, they won the region last year, but they lost several games. But they are a good 3A football team. They might have actually moved up to 4A this year. I
I
can't
think
remember.
that's right. Yeah, I believe they did.
And
But you know,
Geraldine,
they've got talent.
yeah, they've got. Westminster Christian has some talent.
Oh yes, no doubt.
And then Geraldine does get them at home, and Geraldine's looking to improve on last week's showing. So I'm telling you,
Geraldine, you can't count them out.
No, Geraldine's
Coach
not.
Waltrip does a great
Right.
job, and you know, he just over the years watching him coach, you know, they'll have a game like this, and the next week they come back, they look like a different football
Yes,
team. And so
yes,
that's
he's-
what I'm expecting this week. And I think this Geraldine team, you're going to see them improve as the year goes on. And,
Right.
and like you said, by the end of the season, they're going to be right there in the thick of things for the playoffs.
he's very good at making adjustments, you know, for the week.
Yeah. Next, we got Sylvania. Sardis will be traveling up to Sylvania. Sylvania, you know, playing a great Sacs team. And, of course, doesn't get a whole lot easier this
No,
week
Sardis
as a 5A Sardis is
Right.
coming up.
Sardis has got a good team, too. They've got a lot of players and some size. Sylvania's really got some athletes. I know they got beat by Sacs last week, but Sylvania's got some athletes.
Oh, absolutely. And Brody Smith at quarterback. I mean,
Yes.
he is big and strong.
You got the
and
Anderson
just-
kids.
The Anderson, Garth Anderson is a big kid. And
Will Banks, you got some really good athletes on that
Yeah.
team. So I
This
look
is-
for him to come back.
Oh,
this week.
absolutely. This is probably the best talent Sylvania has had in several years up there.
Sometime, yes.
And I know they've got to be excited. And again, I think this week, you know, this Sardis Sylvania game is always a tough
always
football
close
game,
game.
always close. And I think this Sylvania team has got an opportunity to get that win this week. And so we're going to see how that one shakes out. Next, you know, we'll talk about Valley Head. They're going to travel over to Section. And you know, we know what Valley Head can do. They've got a good football team. But I'm telling you, this Section team is better than a lot of people
Yeah.
are probably giving them credit
Valley Head
for.
better go in thinking that, you know, it's going to be a tough game when they go in because they're going to Section. Section's a much improved team.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
you know, it's not going to be no pushover.
I was very impressed. Defensively, Section was just, they were all over the field. Their defensive backs are as good as anybody I've seen play. One of the kids made a great play. Collinsville's receiver had about 3 steps on him for a touchdown. And he came, I don't know how he did it. He caught back up, and he went up and slapped the ball up in the air. And then he fell down on the ground, and he gets back up and intercepts the ball.
Wow.
And saved a touchdown. I mean, because
Yeah.
it looked like a touchdown. I thought Collinsville was taking the lead right here. So this team is going to be much improved. And, you know, Valley, like you said, if Valley Head goes in thinking, well, we just got through beating Raglan,
Yeah.
they could be in
I
for
think
a
Valley Head,
surprise.
Coach Vincent does a good job. I think they'll be ready to play.
Oh,
and-
absolutely. Next, we have Woodville and North Sand Mountain. Again, you know, North Sand Mountain played well. Woodville was tough. You know, first half, they sounds like they played really good. You know, Coach Tyler Van, it's his first season.
Yeah.
And sounds like they played a good
And
first half. but
isn't he a North Sand alum?
he is a North Sand alum. He was the quarterback.
So he knows their
so-
system. He'll know. you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
He'll be ready for 'em
That'll be
this
a
week.
great football game. We got Pisgah going to Sandrock, and we know all about that. Pisgah, you know, kind of in a rebuilding. Sandrock, I don't know a lot about them. They played well against North Sand Mountain in
Yeah.
a close game, and it's always tough playing
I
at
talked to Coach
Sandrock.
Pruitt Saturday. We were up at Pisgah, and he come by, and I said, "Now, who you got this week?" He said, "Sandrock," and I said, "Oh wow, down 14 already."
Yeah.
A week
Yeah.
from the game.
That's exactly right. You know, then we got North Jackson. They're going to be going into Whitwell,
Whitwell,
Tennessee. And you know, we were talking about that early, and I was saying Whitwell, and I thought I don't know where it's at, but it's really they pronounce it Whitwell. Whitwell.
You must
And
have
so-
learned that up there at
yeah.
North Jackson.
And
'cause
and
that's-
so then I realized what team it was after
Yeah.
that. You know, when somebody said it
Whitwell.
like that, I thought, okay, I know who they're talking about. with
Like,
that.
well, 2 years ago, Whitwell won. They went undefeated and won the state championship in whatever class they're in Tennessee.
But I think North Jackson, you know, they've got some talent. They took a pretty good whipping against a great Pleasant Grove, who probably is going to have a shot at making it back to the state finals this
Yes,
year.
yes,
So we'll see
definitely.
how this will be a good test for North Jackson on a team probably more on their level.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how that one shakes out. And, you know, the last game we're going to talk about, we got Madison Academy traveling over to Scottsboro. We know Madison Academy is always a good football.
Always a good football team.
Scottsboro, Coach
Jacobs.
and thanks for the senior moment there.
Yeah.
Covering me. So Scottsboro's got some talent. The quarterback coming back is a great athlete, and they've got some big linemen.
Yeah.
So this will be a great game. It's at Scottsboro, and so I know they're going to be excited about that one. And that covers everything except our game of the week. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press game of the week. And so we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that game.
They take you where you want to go, where you need to go, and sometimes where you thought you'd never go. If we're lucky, the road of life is smooth, and the curves are just part of the adventure.
All for a better life.
Enjoy your road. Alpha Insurance.
All for a better life.
Pay your bill, file a claim, and more with the Alpha To Go app.
The city of Rainsville, the crossroads of Sand Mountain. Sylvania Pharmacy, your friend, your drugstore. W.T. Wilson Funeral Home, family owned and operated.
Welcome back into the Pigskin preview, and we're going to talk about the game of the week. And this week, the game of the week is Ider coming down to Plainview. I think first time they've played in, 17 years?
17 years. 2003 is the last time they played.
One of the things Ider had a great second half, and again, we talked about the quarterback, Matt Norman, had 3 touchdowns and 230 yards rushing. Of course, Plainview had a good showing in their preseason game, and Andrew Hall and Marco Vegas both had really good runs, really good nights, and then you got Underwood, who played outstanding offensively and defensively.
Yeah, you can't forget McCurdy. He was the main running back last year.
Hunter Patton. He
Patton's
didn't get to play a whole lot. Of course, he's just coming back from boot camp.
Right.
And so he hadn't even got to practice a lot, but he had 2 really good runs in that game, and you'll see him play a lot more coming this week. And, defensively and offensively, the lines just played outstanding. I was very impressed with Plainview, and I think this is going to be a great matchup.
I think this is going to be an interesting game, be a good game to watch. Everybody should come out and watch it. It's going to be fun.
And a lot of people think, well, Ider, they're a 2A, Plainview's a 3A, but this Ider team is improved. Coach Miles Keith has done a good job up there. They had a good off-season program going, and Plainview, I think, struggled for the last couple of years, but they have got the system in now that they, it's taken them a little while to get that in. They look much faster, much stronger, and more physical than any team I've seen in the last couple of years from playing.
After you get a system in for a few years, it just comes more natural. You don't have to think as much, so everything goes faster. And they were flying around on defense.
Oh, absolutely. So I kept hearing we're going to be better, but till you see them, it was kind of a surprise. And Ider, I think we'll be surprised at how good this Ider team's going to be this week too. So that's our game of the week, and so we encourage everybody to go out to that game. That should be a great football game on Friday night. And now guess what? We're down to our pick.
Okay.
We'll start out with Crossville. Crossville will be traveling down to Collinsville on Friday night. Who are you going to pick in that one, Steve?
I'm picking Crossville. I still hadn't given up on Crossville. I think they're a really good football team, and I just give them the edge this week.
Yeah. Crossville's got 18, 19 returning starters. Collinsville, they've got some players back, and they're not a bad team by any means. And Coach Garrett, obviously he's done a great job with them. They made some good adjustments at halftime and were able to win that football game. But I'm picking Crossville. I just think that senior leadership and all those seniors, they should be able to get that win. Next, we got Fort Payne traveling down to Gadsden City.
Well, I really wanted to go with Fort Payne, but I went with Gadsden City, 7A school. Although Fort Payne's just right there with them. Fort Payne's not bad. They could have easily won that game against Briarwood last
yeah.
week. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if I miss that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with Gadsden City too, just because it's at Gadsden City. But and I'm like you. I think Fort Payne could win this football game, and wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Right.
Next, we got Westminster Christian. They'll be traveling to Geraldine.
I got Geraldine at home on that one. I think, like you talked about earlier, Coach Waldrop makes so many great adjustments. I think they'll be ready for Westminster Christian.
Yeah, I'm going with Geraldine too. Coach Waldrop just does such an outstanding
He does a good job.
And so it's hard to pick against him anytime.
It is.
It really is. And they're always in the games, and so I think they can pull it off. Next, we've got Sardis at Sylvania. Who are you picking in this one?
I took Sylvania at home. I really don't know. I know Sardis is always a big team, but I think Sylvania's a lot better than what they did last week. So I just went with Sylvania at home.
Yeah, I think this is a great matchup, and I struggled a little bit how to pick this one, but I'm going with Sylvania. I think playing at home, after playing a really good Sacs team, I think they'll make some adjustments, and I think they get the win this week.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Sylvania. Next, we got Valley Head traveling over to Section. Who you got?
I got Valley Head. As long as they're healthy, I just think it's going to be hard to stop them.
Yeah, I'm going with Valley Head too, and I think you're exactly right. They're big, and and they got. We know for sure the Burt kid is very talented, and looks like Bryson Morgan is very talented too. And I'm not taking anything away from Section because I think they are a much improved football team. But this Valley Head team is so big, I think they'll struggle with them. So I'm going with Valley Head. Woodville at North Sand Mountain.
I've got North Sand Mountain. They're at home. They're better than probably what they showed last week. They did beat Sand Rock. And just barely lost to Spring Garden, who is a really good football team. So I'm going with North Sand.
Yeah. I'm going with North Sand Mountain too because Coach Kirby, to me, he's a lot like Waldrop. I mean, he does a great job of getting the team ready after a loss, of making adjustments, and I think after that preseason game, I think they worked some kinks out, and of course they did win one of those games, and they played well in both of them. But I think you'll see this North Sand Mountain team win. But Woodville, Coach Van is going to come in and want to win that game.
Right.
That's his home school, and so he's going to have that team fired up and ready to play against North Sand Mountain. So it could be a close football game.
Yeah, that's right.
Next, we got Pisgah traveling to Sand Rock.
Well, I know Coach Pruitt is kind of rebuilding. He's just got like 5 seniors this year, I think, and I took Sand Rock because you're down 14 points before you get there, and they're at home, so I just went with Sand Rock because of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm stepping out on a limb this week. I wanted to pick Sand Rock, but my heart said pick Pisgah. So I'm going with Pisgah. I guess it would be an upset, especially over at Sand Rock.
I guess, yeah. Well, that's two 2A schools going at it.
Yeah.
Maybe in the same region, I'm not sure. I think they are.
I think they may be. I think that could be a region.
But now, Coach Pruitt's a really good coach. He will have them ready to play.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Next, we got North Jackson and traveling to Whitwell, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's tough to pick. I picked Whitwell because they're at home, but I looked at some of their stuff, and they had won the state championship, went undefeated 2 years ago. Then last year, they may not have won but 3 games. And they've got a new coach this year. They had a new coach last year. Now they got a new coach this year. So, but I went with them because they've got some. I know between them, South Pittsburgh, and Marion County, athletes move around a lot up there. Yeah. So you don't know which team's going to be this week.
That's true. Well, I'm going with North Jackson. I think Coach Tygard, with the talent he's got coming back, and I know a lot of people say, well, why would you pick them? They got beat pretty bad, but. The team that's playing is going to beat a lot of people bad.
That's right.
So I think this North Jackson team, they'll be better this week, and I think they get the win this week. So I'm going with North Jackson. And in our last game, we've got Madison Academy at Scottsboro.
Well, Scottsboro's got some seniors and some senior leadership and some big kids, and I think this is their year, and I picked Scottsboro over Madison Academy. I may have missed that one, but I'm giving Scottsboro the benefit of the doubt this week.
Well, I'm going to be with you too. I'm picking Scottsboro. I think Madison Academy, they're always a good football team. Last couple of years, they hadn't been as good.
It's kind of like they're rebuilding a little bit.
Yeah, they've had some coaching changes, and of course we know one of the coaches actually is at Collinsville now, one of the assistant coaches, and so, but you know, I think this Scottsboro team, like you said, some senior leadership. Coach Jacobs is an outstanding coach, and we know he can win. He's done it everywhere he's been.
That's true.
And I think he has this team ready to play, and I think they get the win this week. So there you have it. Well, you know, man, week 1 is here. Full slate of football games going on this week, and I tell you what, if you want to see some good high school football, you know, there's a lot of games you can pick from here, and man, I'm just proud to see sports back.
I'm proud to see something back for these kids to, you know, get their mind off everything that's going on.
Absolutely. And again, and I know we said this Friday night on the scoreboard show, and we're going to say it, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but, you know, we want this season to go all the way. We want to make it to the state playoffs and you know, the state championship games, but we're going to have to do our part. If you go to the games, please wear your mask. I mean, once you get in the stands, if you can sit with your family and there's some, you know, space between it, and then you take it off, you know, but if the stands are full, you may have to wear your mask all night. So, but, you know, let's keep everybody healthy. Let's keep the players healthy and the cheerleaders and the band and everybody and have a great season. So I just encourage you to keep your mask on and you know, let's have a great football season.
All right.
And I guess that does it for this week. We appreciate you guys tuning in. God bless each one of you, and we'll be back here next week, and we'll be talking about this week's games, and we'll be picking next week's games, and hopefully I'll be sitting up there at the top of the leaderboard. So we'll see you again next week.
Hey folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City, and I want to invite everybody to come down here and see us. We're located at 1015 Gulf Avenue South here in downtown Fort Payne. And I want everybody to come down and check out our inventory. Bobby always keeps the inventory refreshed. We've got new stuff coming in every single day, a lot of stuff going out every day. Listen, we appreciate everybody in the area coming down here, letting us earn your business. I'm telling you what, this year's been great for us, and every year we get nominated and then we get voted in as the best in DeKalb. So I want to tell everybody we appreciate y'all doing that for us. Let us know we're doing everything right. So y'all come down here and see us. 1015 Gulf Avenue South. You can shop us on the web at Twin City Used Cars, or you can just give us a call at 256-844-2210.